Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I think we need to lean more aggressively forward and look at ways to try to relax some of the provisions that don't really make as much sense anymore. And probably the ones that we should be looking at the hardest are things done outside. I think we should be thinking about lifting mask ordinances outside. I think we should be thinking about lifting limits on gatherings outside and trying to encourage people to go outside now that the weather is warming, take more activities outside in the face of declining risk overall.
What? Go outside? Never. Oh, wait, I'm always outside. Lift the mask mandate? Never! Yeah, that's... Hell yeah, Dr. Gottlieb right there. Lifting some restrictions. Some places, there are no restrictions. Businesses may have restrictions, but cities and states are saying, you know what, we've had enough of this, and we'll let you guys make your own decision. We'll let you guys be adult. Well, people can't be adults, Chad. People can't be. There's enough opportunity to get vaccines now. That's just it. Some places are turning down vaccines left, right, and center. Some have a glutton of vaccines. We're going to be swimming in vaccines. And that's exactly what's going on. We're swimming in vaccines. Swimming in vaccines at this moment in time. People that have got it, wanted to get it, have got it. Some people who are hesitant, understandable, especially when it comes to what took place with Johnson & Johnson.
A new ABC News Washington Post poll finds fewer than half of Americans see the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as safe, and barely more than 1 in 5 of those not yet vaccinated say they would be willing to take it. This comes after a halt to the distribution of the J&J vaccine to investigate a possible connection to blood clots. That halt was lifted over the weekend and shots have resumed.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. So the people that said, oh, this could be a good thing because it shows everybody how much it cares and how much the FDA and the CDC are paying attention to this, and that something could go wrong and that they would stop it immediately. Those people already wanted the shots. They already believe in this. The other people, not so much. They didn't change it. Gets back to what we've been talking about. It's time to start living our lives. No more goalposts moving. Let's get on to getting on. That's simple. It's time to do that. We've got to the point now where there is enough. If you don't want to get it, great. That's your choice. If you do want to get it, again, great. That's your choice. I think we should all have the opportunity to have choice. All that you can do is control your life and the life of your families and who you let into your life. That's it. You can do nothing else. But to live your life based on what some, the people in the higher ups, whether it be in the city you live in, the community health organizations, the states, over the fact that some people aren't going to get a shot, I find that to be ridiculous. It's time to get on.
The problem is many people are not getting the vaccine. And part of it's the perception that, in fact, the pandemic is kind of over. We're seeing this lull in cases. Don't forget, we've been here 3 times in the past year. After seeing big increases in cases, we see a lull that lasts for several months, and then it's back again. And as I just noted a moment ago, we have at least 22 states that have lower immunization levels than Michigan, where we've already seen a crisis. Today, we have 70 children seriously ill hospitalized in Michigan with this virus.
Dr. Osterholm, much like Fauci, everything is bad. Everything's going wrong. But there's only so much you can do. First of all, you can't get the kids a vaccine, so I don't know what else there is to do. Tell kids they can't go to school? Oh, wait, they've done that. Tell kids they can't go outside? Oh, wait, a lot of places have done that. Tell kids what? And the risk is still minimal comparatively to something like the flu. It's time to get on. I think we can all agree with that. We want to get our lives back. This weekend, watch some golf. It was great. They had fans there in Louisiana. If you saw the UFC fight, you know what you saw? 15,000 plus people in the crowd, celebrities there. It felt like, oh, this feels like something that's real. Like people are living their lives. It's what it feels like because it is. But the risk is the risk. You know what it is. You got the opportunity to take the damn vaccine. You don't take it. You do take it. That's a you thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Apparently last night there was a Zoom Oscars.
Chloe Zhao.
Perhaps the biggest barrier broken by Nomadland director Chloe Zhao, now the first woman of color to win Best Director. In her acceptance speech, talking about how even when things look dark,
I have always found goodness in the people I met everywhere I went in the world.
Best Supporting Actress winner Yajang Yoon of Minari became the first Korean person to win an acting Oscar, and Ma Rainey's Mia Neal and Jamaica Wilson became the first black women to win Best Makeup and Hairstyling.
And I know that one day it won't be unusual or groundbreaking. It will just be normal.
Yeah, Oscars last night. That's all I got to say. I've seen none of these. I've seen a few minutes of Minari. Beyond slow. Producer Phil, producer Anthony. These are guys who love films, right? Phil's like me. We can appreciate some stuff, but the reality is we like popcorn. But Anthony, producer Anthony, he likes some of these art house films. He watched Nomadland, and here's his quote. I fast forward through some of it, and those are 2+ hours of my life I'll never get back. Says everything I need to know about that. But that's not very nice, Chad. I'm just saying. Like, who do you make movies for? That's how I often wonder. Like when I see Hollywood, who are you making movies for? Are you making movies for you, or are you making movies for an audience? Well, I think we're making movies for an audience. So the audience would be people who want to be even more depressed than they already are. A woman in her 60s, loses everything in the Great Recession, embarks on a journey through the American West, living as a van-dwelling modern-day nomad. That sounds like super fun. I'm like, man, talk about a good time right there. That screams of fun. Who wants some of that? Anybody? Yeah, I didn't think so. Not that it's probably... Look, there's no doubt that Frances McDermott is an amazing actress. There's no doubt any of those things. But it's telling a story of things that have happened. I get it. It's always the bad stuff. People are like, oh, yeah, I should watch that because that's depressing. Minari is about a Korean family that's basically wants to have their American dream of farming. Try to get through. And I am a guy, right? Like, I'm a guy who likes watching movies. And I can't even remember the last Best Picture film I actually watched. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, touch the program. Love hearing each and every single one of you. Well, Biden's closing in on his first 100 days. Let's take a look and see how he's doing.
President Biden has the approval of just 13% of Republicans approaching 100 days into his term. That's according to a new ABC News Washington Post poll. And that is the exact same number as the percentage of Democrats who approved of President Trump at this stage of his term. 100 days into George W. Bush's presidency 20 years ago, he had the approval of 39% of Democrats. Ronald Reagan 40 years ago enjoyed the approval of 62% of Democrats.
Oh. You know why? Because they were doing their jobs. And you get that honeymoon. You don't get that anymore. We don't allow that. We are now in a situation where the presidency, has it really changed that much? No, I think the Congress in particular, maybe some Senate seats in particular, have gotten more extreme. But the reality is it's us. It's not them. Do I think Biden's done a bad job overall? I'd give him a C. He gets an A for the way I think he's handled some of the coronavirus for sure. But now comes the hard part of getting the rest of America to figure out what you're going to do and how do you approach it. Immigration, he's done an awful job. For a lot of other things, it's in the middle of something. It's incomplete. Is it going to be an infrastructure deal, or is it going to be a Green New Deal infrastructure deal? How are we going to compete with China? We're going to throw a lot of money at schools. I mean, there's a lot of different things to go into this. But so much of that is the fact that That's more about us than it is them. Because we have definitely gone in directions that are completely tribal. And it didn't matter what Biden did. And Biden's at the point now where he's not even pretending that he's going to try to govern for both sides. And why would you anymore? You can talk about, I'm going to govern for both. You're not. And the reason's pretty simple. The other side doesn't want anything that you're offering them. Anything. They want you to make a mistake so they can pounce on it. And when you do something good, they say, well, lucky. Whatever. That's where we are. It says more about us than it does about the presidency itself. It says more about the politics and the politics of division and the profiting on division than it does about the presidency. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Car Shield protects big time. Absolutely. People putting money aside, right? They're budgeting right now. Guess what your car doesn't care about? Any of that. Check engine light comes on. You're like, I got to do something. What is it? If you ever notice you get yourself where you feel like you're in some good footing and then something goes a little bit wrong with your car and you got to start making that choice, that decision, what do I do? So you have Car Shield. Car Shield protects in so many ways. From your AC going out to your GPS not working to your engine, you name it, Car Shield's there to protect you. 4 different tiers you could choose from. 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. And that shop, by the way, is the shop that you choose. Right? That's great. Take us to the dealership. They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. They've helped over 1 million drivers, Car Shield has, and they're ready to help you. It's America's #1 auto protection company. Your car doesn't care about your savings. Neither does mine. But guess what? Car Shield does. Cares about your savings, your car, and you. This is what I want you to do. Go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Use code Benson to save 10%. That's carshield.com, carshield.com. Save yourself 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
To be free. I am not a terrorist. I am not Antifa. I am not a sex slave that wears masks.
Don't be a cutie pie.
Probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
You're ruining my life, man!
You haven't seen anything yet.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
Dresses are in demand at retailers like Macy's, Nordstrom, and Anthropologie as proms and weddings resume. American Eagle Outfitters says it's seeing pent-up demand from teens, and more than half of U.S. consumers plan on buying clothes in the coming months, according to market research firm NPD. But designers are wondering if those pre-pandemic structured styles will ever make a comeback. Many have shifted to flowy fabrics and looser looks. And upscale brand Lafayette 148 New York says they're designing more multi-purpose clothing that can go from day to night.
Yeah, I think we need a more of a fluffy look. You've been inside for the last year and a half. I need something fluffier. Just take you have a sheet? Yes, cut some holes and some arms in there. That should do me good. That'll be my shirt, and I'll just get myself some pants here. Okay, I want to take both of these stretch pants, and I want to cut them in two, and then have it super stretchy. A lot of people, man, it's because it's been weird, right? You're inside. People started to dress up again. Proms? Where are they doing proms at? Oh, yeah, they're doing proms. Really? Some places they are. Some places there aren't. The proms out here in Arizona. Now, mind you, we're pretty open. I mean, we're fairly open, but still when it comes to the kids, and if you notice the battle now is the teachers and the parents, right? There's teachers, the parents. I see it with Jack's school. People are just like, just over it. It's like, all right, you can go to school, but here's the deal. Your teachers aren't going to be there. I'm like, well, this sounds Lord of the Flies. But you're going to have one or two teachers that feel comfortable being there. But outside of that, you're going to be Zooming still with your teachers in class, just part of the day with a few of your friends, and it's so silly. But here, they're having proms where there's no dancing. There is no tables or chairs. and it's outside. So wait a minute. First of all, to even charge anybody to come to that would be insane. But yes, we will need some bigger, more flowing things. Let's go outdoors. There's nothing wrong with going outdoors. Zero, zilch, nada. Without a face mask, the risk is very low. Last week we were talking a bit about this, like, where's the risk? What if you're on a hike? I'm like, first of all, who's on a hike? Secondly, we know who's on a hike. It's not guys. Let me tell you who hikes. Ladies, I'm going to let you guys on to something. If you ask a guy who you think likes you to go on a hike, you'll be like, oh, yeah, I'll go on a hike. He doesn't want to go on a hike. He wants to get with you, but he doesn't want to go on a hike. Can I get an amen? Producer Phil, a little bit of truth there?
Maybe a little, but I'd still go on a hike because I like hiking.
Yeah, there you go. So Phil's weird. So most men will go on a hike like, oh, my God, the plane crashed. We survived. We're going to have to hike out of here. Like, all right. Like that's a guy hike. So being outside, though, we were talking a bit about this last week, which I found to be hilarious. People were like, well, what if you're walking up a mountain and people are coming towards you? Should you mask? Like, what are you talking about? You're outdoors on a damn mountain. Are you going to hang out with them for several hours? No, we're going to walk by them. Then you're going to be fine.
Dr. Fauci says updated CDC guidelines are on the way. And while he didn't want to get ahead of the agency, he said the risk for a fully vaccinated person to become infected by this virus outside is very, very low.
There you go. So if you're fully vaccinated, very, very low. If you're not vaccinated and you're just walking around without a mask and not too many people by you, still very low. For God's sakes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Big, giant speech Biden's going to give about everything. He's going to lay it all out there. He's going to talk about guns and a bunch of other stuff. We're going to touch on that. Police reform, is it coming? Is it not coming? And what about what LeBron James did? A lot of people are upset about that. Even some people on the left find it to be ridiculous. We'll touch on that as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You have the White House saying they have enough supply for every adult in this country with Pfizer and Moderna, which implicitly means they don't need the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. Why even take something that has a rare risk involved in it?
There are a lot of people, believe it or not, more than we would have imagined, who really like the idea about a single-shot vaccine. People are saying they're sorry it was paused. They can't wait till it gets back because they'd rather have a single-dose vaccine.
Yes. Yes. Why? Convenience. People, we live in a world of convenience. We've turned everything into video games in many ways. Apps, right at our fingertip. Want some food? App. Need a ride? App. Have to do your banking? App. Everything is about convenience. This is the same thing. The last year and a half have been inconvenient for a lot of people. So I've said Johnson & Johnson is the game changer. First of all, it's old technology versus newer technology. Well, that mRNA stuff is pretty. First of all, they use it in a lot of different things. Cancer for a long time. This is not. But the DNA side of it is there. It's one shot. Seems to be very little side effects. Well, there's here. We still don't even know if these things are all related. Out of 8 million people that have gotten the shot, all women, premenopausal, is it possible? Of course. But you're going to find that with anything. Anything. hence the pharmaceutical commercials where they talk about all the bad things that can happen to you. All that being said, convenience will always win out every time. Every time. Every time. That's why shows are on at 3 a.m. talking about, would you like to lose weight? Yeah. Would you like to have great abs like me? Yeah. Somebody's like, I got the 7-minute ab. The next person's like, I got a 6-minute ab. Let's try. We want quicker, easier, faster. That's what we want. We want overnight, instantaneous. That's what Johnson & Johnson, for a lot of people, give. People a one and done, convenient, on their time, go from there. I'm going to get my second shot today. Pretty inconvenient. Not going to lie to you. I had to drive 60 miles back to near where I live to go get the shot. Feels pretty inconvenient. I couldn't get it done anywhere else. It's very frustrating in the way that they've set some of this stuff out. Welcome to the world where we live. I understand why Johnson & Johnson is why and what people want, because of convenience. Shouldn't be shocking to anybody. Biden going to speak.
President Biden preparing to address a joint session of Congress where he'll lay out the promises for his next 100 days in office and beyond. His big push now, that massive $2 trillion infrastructure plan. The president says it will create millions of jobs. It's a plan the majority of Americans support. But as the nation deals with a surge of mass shootings, advocates are pressing the White House to do more to curb gun violence. The administration calling on Congress to step up on gun reform and police reform. Lawmakers hopeful for a bipartisan compromise there.
Yeah, so we'll see if any of that stuff happens. I mean, they go out there and they lay out big things. And, people are hearing about there. What did I tell you after the last stimulus? People are going to be asking inside of Congress, hey, when are we going to do the next one? When are we going to do the next one? People texting me. So are we going to get these? Are we going to start getting money just basically every single month? I mean, it is ridiculous what the government, you guys in government, are starting to set up, this complete dependency on government. And it's insane to think that, people aren't speaking up. Some are, very few. Now, I understood last year, trying time. We were desperate, wanted to do something, didn't think it was going to last forever. Okay. We're moving on now to heading in to almost to the halfway point of this year. Think about that. May will be here in a few days. So we're going on almost a year and a half, and we're talking about doing another one. Then we're talking about a massive spend with infrastructure. And let me ask you, where did money coming from? Well, it's coming from us. We're going to be printing the hell out of this damn stuff. We're going to be borrowing a lot from our future, which is fine because so many people live in the present. We don't think about tomorrow. We're going to be saddling tons of younger people with already are saddled up to the hilt with a lot of their own debt. At some point, you got to step back and say, look, we need to pick a path. We need to be smart about it. But this is where the rubber should meet the road when it comes to a lot of these things. If some states don't want to reopen, it's not the government's job federally to save some of those states. If they're having issues, that's one thing. But at some point, this is ridiculous.
I'm a little more on the side of the Republicans at this point. I'm a deficit hawk, and I ran a business, and at some point you just can't keep spending. And I know we're giving Biden a lot of kudos for making a lot of big moves, but I think the coronavirus package could have done the job with half as much money. And I don't know if we need a total amount for the infrastructure bill. It's just you start to get to a point where your just gut tells you we just can't keep spending, basically bottomless pit.
Donnie Deutsch there. Absolutely true. And that's what we're doing. The whole thought process of a bottomless pit. It sounds like it just, how much can we spend? It's never enough, right? The Republicans come back with $500 billion for some sort of infrastructure plan. If it was infrastructure, you're looking at, but it's so much of it is not that. And while people are like, hey, I'm totally support this. This all sounds great. Nobody ever reads what really goes on in these things. What are you really supporting? Do you understand what's inside of these things? This continual, just put it on the credit card, we'll pay it off later, is insane.
I mean, at some point, the music's going to stop, and there are going to be people without chairs. So it's very easy. It's very easy to get caught up in the public. The public is behind it. But of course, the public's behind it. We're going to do is if you said to the public, let's send $5,000 to everybody and bankrupt the government, they'll go fine. So at some point, you can't raise taxes to a certain point where you start to not de-incentivize capitalism.
Yeah, he's 100% right. 100% right. So wait, what are you telling us, Chad? That the thought process of like, hey, we're going to raise capital gains to almost levels that you would see for normal earnings. Okay? So you're going to do that. So why should I then go invest in a bunch of companies? You're disincentivizing me from taking a risk. How are you going to, why would I? Because the difference is I have now an opportunity to take that money and put it elsewhere. So what's that do? Sends the market down. We're always looking for how do we pay for something? That should be the first thing. How are we going to pay for this without essentially saying to everybody, well, we're just going to tax the hell out of you guys to pay for it. And then we'll see where it goes from there. Because as we've known in the past and will continue to know in the future, is very rarely does the money go where it needs to go. All too often it's spent in a way that you just sit there and shake your head. Trump was guilty of it. They spent the hell out of crap. Republicans, you love doing it just as much. You talk a good game, but very few of you are in a position where you can go, yeah, I voted against that. I voted against that. Very few. And then we start printing money the way that we're going to be printing it and doing the things we're going to be doing. Money, as cheap as it is right now, isn't going to be after a while. And your money isn't going to go as far. And you're putting yourself into a situation where we may be looking at inflation, which we don't like. And then we're going to talk about the Green New Deal, which all sounds great. Again, saving the puppy dogs, saving the penguins, saving polar bears. All of it sounds great. What's the cost? I'm curious. What's the real cost? How much of it's really has an opportunity of doing something, or how much makes people feel good so we can check a box?
I'm still suffering economic shock from Earth Day. It was bad because President Biden announced a 50% cut in carbon emissions in only a few years, which is going to throw a wet blanket over this booming economy. Of course, it'll wreck the fossil fuel sector, which still accounts for about 70% of our power. Speaking of stupid, there's a study coming out of the University of Michigan, which says to meet the Biden Green New Deal targets, America has to stop eating meat, stop eating poultry, fish, seafood, eggs, dairy, and animal-based fats.
Oh, so what? Wait, what? Yeah, stop eating any of those things. This is one study. You're going to find a lot of studies like this. One singular study, something to pay attention to. That could be something that I don't think a lot of, like, we live this world of, hey, we think the planet's on fire. We need to figure out how we could save it. It's great. What are you willing to do? Here's $10. It's a lot of what we do. And what they want to do is going to make things really expensive for a lot of people. So the middle upper, be fine. The lower middle and people who are below the poverty line, they're going to suffer the most. And the not eating meat? I'm going to have a hard pass on that.
No burgers on July 4th. No steaks on the Barbie. I'm sure Middle America is just going to love that. So get ready. You can throw back a plant-based beer with your grilled Brussels sprouts and wave your American flag. This kind of thinking is stupid. It comes from a bunch of ideological zealots who don't care one whit about America's well-being. Not one whit.
I think they do. I just think they care for them in a different way. I think a lot of times what it is you look at Democrats and Republicans. Democrats, they think they know what's best for you. Republicans think they know what's best for them. At the end of the day, what's best for all of us is for us to have our choices. We can get away from fossil fuels in a way that's smart without bankrupting ourselves. We could put money into things that actually have a true opportunity to have solutions to some of the problems that we face. We can use money for infrastructure in a way that is really smart, but that's if we put the money into it as opposed to, here's $2 trillion, spend it how you want, maybe we'll build some bridges, and the rest of it go to pet projects, which too many times happens. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. She is running for governor. Some people think it's a joke or a publicity stunt. We're going to talk about that. Plus the Oscars last night. Did anybody watch the Oscars? Did anybody watch the Oscars? How bad was this? 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Raycon's best earbuds around. You know that. Somebody this morning said, hey, Chad, what is your Raycon code? And I said, it's buyraycon.com/Chad. You'll save an extra 15%. Golf this weekend. Yesterday, the winds were horrific. I had to make a couple calls on the course. All they heard was me. That's because these Raycons are great. Noise isolating fit, 6 hours of talk time, seamless Bluetooth pairing, but it's a discreet look, a stylish look. They can perform in ways that you cannot believe. Sweat resistant. I mean, they pair so fast. It is awesome. And the price. Best part of Raycon is the price. Raycon, for all the other great things, having the absolute best sound at a price that's right is awesome. The wireless earbuds that is accessible to everybody, and I love that. Right now, save an extra 15% on all their products just for my listeners. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Save that money. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
Jung-yoon. Minari star Jung-yoon made history as the first Korean acting winner in Oscars history. The 73-year-old, known as the Meryl Streep of Korea, seems starstruck being given her Oscar by Brad Pitt.
Mr. Brad Pitt, finally. Nice to meet you.
Of course, she thanked her children.
2 boys who made me go out and work.
And she said it was crazy that she won over Glenn Close.
Tonight I'm here. It's just I have just a little bit luck, I think. Maybe I'm luckier than you.
Yeah. Ratings were... You thought they would be, but they have been, because these shows are about who? Like, does anybody really care? Honestly. It's great for, like, you're in the industry, it's neat, you put something on your shelf. But at this point, I don't think anybody cares. This feels like it's just about you guys. And it's all about inside jokes and being told basically how bad the world is and how everybody else needs to change.
We wish to also acknowledge those precious lives lost to the violence of inequality, injustice, hatred, racism, and poverty.
Angela Bassett there. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but it goes back to much like with sports right now. Sports is struggling in a lot of ways, and it's simple. People are over it. LeBron James. People are just like, why? You've got some TV stations now, some bars, places say, look, we're not going to show any LeBron's games anymore after what he did to the officer in the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting. You're next with a sand hourglass hashtag and a picture of him. People were upset about that. We'll get deeper in that a little bit later, but people want entertainment. They do. They want entertainment. Their lives are already tough enough, right? They're going through the pandemic in ways that other people aren't. And every once in a while, you know what's good? The respite of being able to look at something and for 90 minutes or 2 hours, essentially not have to think about all the other trials that are going on. That's a lot of what people are looking forward to. just being able to sit there and to watch a movie that's not going to preach to you, but it's going to tell you a story that's interesting and it's entertaining. Or if you really want, depressing. It's up to you. But without having to be a situation where you feel like afterwards, oh, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. She, being Caitlyn Jenner, is in the governor's race in California.
Governor Gavin Newsom had a rocky period where things were opening, things were closing, cases were going up. Schools, after more than a year, schools had not reopened. And so you had a lot of people, not just Republicans, who were frustrated by what was happening in California. The thing is, Democrats are hoping that time will be on Governor Newsom's side, because at the point when we have this recall election, which is likely going to be late summer or fall, schools will likely be open. The state will be reopened. People will be somewhat back to normal and might forget the frustrations they had a year before.
I don't know if they will. I think a lot of it also has to do with him. Caitlyn Jenner, a lot of people think it's a publicity stunt. I don't think it is. I think she's in it to win it, and it'll be very interesting to see how this plays itself out, because in California, you never know. And I'm not sure about schools being reopened, so just slow your roll. He might have to if he wants to stay governor. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I think we need to lean more aggressively forward and look at ways to try to relax some of the provisions that don't really make as much sense anymore. And probably the ones that we should be looking at the hardest are things done outside. I think we should be thinking about lifting mask ordinances outside. I think we should be thinking about lifting limits on gatherings outside and trying to encourage people to go outside now that the weather is warming, take more activities outside in the face of declining risk overall.
Get outside, move around, do something. And stop worrying about whether or not, if you're not wearing a mask in public in certain areas. If you feel uncomfortable and you think, I should wear a mask here, don't wear a mask. If you're out for a stroll, that's so stupid. It is. People are worried. Oh, my God, should I or shouldn't I? Look, are these things dangerous? Are they not dangerous? J&J, what happened there? Oh, the chances of you getting sick because of being outdoors is very small.
Dr. Fauci says updated CDC guidelines are on the way. And while he didn't want to get ahead of the agency, he said the risk for a fully vaccinated person to become infected by this virus outside is very, very low.
There you go. Very, very low. But all we see is negative. Our numbers across the board, pretty good comparatively. We're ahead of everybody else when it comes to vaccination. The way that we're doing so, per capita, the way that we're doing it is awesome. It is. Now we're swimming it, right? We're swimming it. There are places that don't want it at all. They're not going to take it. They don't want it. They want nothing to do with it. What do they want? To choose not to take it. In fact, this is crazy. There in Kansas, are you ready for this? More than half of the counties have turned down their weekly allotment of coronavirus doses because the demand right now is short. So think, half of the counties, very short when it comes to demand. And it's also very telling when you look and see that in some places 30% of adults have received at least one dose in some of these counties, compared to 36, almost 37% who are completely vaccinated elsewhere in the state. We're at a point now where we're flush with it. We have a lot of it. And not everybody's going to be getting the vaccine. They're just at the point now where the people that want it, gonna get it. You, not you, not you. And the people that don't, they're not. At least not right now.
The problem is many people are not getting the vaccine. And part of it's the perception that, in fact, the pandemic is kind of over. We're seeing this lull in cases. Don't forget, we've been here 3 times in the past year. After seeing big increases in cases, we see a lull that lasts for several months, and then it's back again. And as I just noted a moment ago, we have at least 22 states that have lower immunization levels than Michigan, where we've already seen a crisis. Today, we have 70 children seriously ill hospitalized in Michigan with this virus.
Dr. Ulsterholm, super Debbie Downer, makes Fauci at times look like he's singing songs about rainbows and sunshine. Some people just aren't going to get it. And by the way, it has zero, in many cases, to do with whether or not people believe that these things are safe or not safe. Some people, it's really party line. That 25% of people, 25% who said they're not going to get the vaccine, that has stayed steady for a while. That ain't changing. There's a group of people that are vaccine hesitant. Some are agnostic, but a lot of them are vaccine atheists. They're not getting this for anything. They're just not. They're not going to get it. Period. Case closed. End of story. No matter how safe it seems to be, they felt that this was a political ploy to take out the last guy. And then it worked, and it's not real, and it's just like a really bad flu. And even people out there, there's some people out there who are on the left who think that this thing is overblown and that this is, another way for pharmaceutical companies to make money. That's it. Now we have to decide, how do we go on? For me, if you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, it's time to start living our lives. For me, I'm at a point where I think most of us, it's time for the mask to come off. If your work asks you to have it on, that's fine. But this whole new normal is a bunch of crap, and it needs to go away. If you choose not to get the vaccine, I shouldn't have to live my life based on your choice to not get a vaccine or to get a vaccine. We shouldn't. And I don't think we should have vaccine passports. I think we should just let it be. Now, other countries can say, hey, you can't come here unless you're vaccinated. That's fine. That's another country. But for us, I think it's time to start getting on. Because I have a feeling that government here, in particular the feds, are going to allow this thing to play out as long as possible because it's good for business. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Police reform. Ma'Khia Bryant shooting. Obviously, Derek Chauvin, what took place there, his guilty case with George Floyd, that is now behind us outside of the sentencing and the case itself. But there's a lot of stuff in front of us and how we go about reforming police. And there are certain situations here. One of the things I've talked about in the past is I think when we look at the police, we seem to think that, they're human beings and want them to be perfect, that they don't struggle. We look at our soldiers coming home, man, they're struggling from PTSD. Our police officers struggle with PTSD on a daily basis. And when you stop struggling with it, that could be even scarier. We need to address a lot of these things when we get to reform. And I think there's ways of going about doing it. This whole BS about we're going to defund the police, that's the dumbest thing ever. You want to reallocate for different kind of training? Fantastic. Those things to me, I look at and I'm thinking, let's find better ways to bring communities together with the police to solve problems that are in front of everybody, by the way, regardless of the color of your skin or your lot in life. Human beings have problems. Wealthy have problems. The poor have problems. And everybody in between. But we're having an issue right now with trust between the African American community in particular and police. Understandable. Understandable. But we've got to start dealing with this because we're always asking the police to change. I talked about it last week. We never asked society to change. Hey, police, could you do us a solid and change all that you do? And we're not going to change any of our. We're not going to look and say, hey, do we have a part to play in any of this? No. You change, and then we'll go from there.
An ABC News Washington Post poll finds 60% of Americans believe more should be done to hold police accountable. Democratic Representative Karen Bass of California tells ABC News more focus is needed on mental health.
People go into a crisis, and you wind up calling the police, then the individual gets killed.
Republicans largely oppose a number of Democratic initiatives aimed at addressing policing issues, including ending qualified immunity, which shields police officers from being held personally liable for actions while on duty.
Yeah, because if you were to, let's just say for the sake of argument, you said today, we're going to get rid of qualified immunity. That means that if you go out and somebody wants to sue you personally for your actions, and we're not talking about a Derek Chauvin act. We're talking about, think about all of the lawsuits that will be coming. Every single cop, you couldn't afford it. You can afford the police. Why? Because, well, if I want to be a cop, I'm going to have to pay $3,000 to $4,000, $5,000 a month in insurance. Knowing full well I'm going to get sued on a daily basis. That would be insane. It would be. Do we need to make it easier to prosecute police who do bad things? Yes. At the same time, to think that we're going to take away qualified immunity, which means if I go out and we're in a scuffle and I take you to the ground and you get hurt, now you could sue me personally? That is insane. The amount of lawsuits that would happen would flood. Well, then what? Then you're going to have cops not doing their duty, saying to themselves, what's the use? Why would I want to be a cop? Why would I want to be a cop if in every way, shape, or form, I'm the one who's going to be under scrutiny no matter what somebody else does? If I'm the one who faces financial ruin every single day, that would be insane. That's not a way of going about fixing it. The mental health side is. I think we need to reevaluate police after a certain amount of time on the beat. I think that's absolutely something that needs to be done. I think we need to take some officers, get them some new schooling, putting through situations where, hey, you know what? We're looking for guys who could be cops as well as counselors, who have an understanding of the human psyche, and sending them to places where they can start to learn certain things. There's ways of doing this so we can look to de-escalate. But remember, cops aren't there to de-escalate something. They're there when crimes are being committed or after a crime. We ask a lot. We expect even more. And I think we need to have a real look at ourselves and saying maybe we need to have some changing going on in society. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Text the program. Love hearing from you. My dog, Doodle. Guys talk. You hear me all the time. Talk about Doodle, the dog. Doodle, the dog. You can see him. You go to roughgreens.com/Chad. You'll see my dog, Doodle. And he is just changed. He doesn't itch anymore. Doesn't scratch. His energy level's to the roof. And I'm telling you right now, with what Rough Greens Canine VitaSmart has done for him, especially when it comes to his arthritic hips and his joints, has changed his life. It's got everything. It's got vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. It is incredible. It brings your dog's food to life. It's a powder. It's a supplement. It goes right on top. They love it. They eat it up. But to see the change in him, from his energy to the way he moves to his shiny coat, is incredible. Rough Greens wants you to try it. So if you love your dog, you try it before you buy it. Okay? You cover shipping. They're going to send you a bag for free. It's that simple. You go to roughgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad, or call 833-MyDog77, 833-MyDog77. You pay for shipping. They're going to send you a bag absolutely free. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverent? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a look and see what's been trending for the last 24 hours. Let's see what we can find. Probably a lot of stuff trending in the last 24 hours. All right, let's take a look. God, you just go over to Twitter, and it's just a battle of insanity. That's all it is. It's just a battle of people fighting over God knows what. And I laugh. So right now, it is it's Biden and infrastructure. Tons of that. Lots of stuff about the Oscars last night. Larry Kudlow's in trouble for speaking out about what took place when it comes to the Green New Deal and how much money you want to spend. So you're getting hammered for that. Of course you are. Of course you are. Supermoon tonight. And Chernobyl. We'll touch on that in a little bit. Head on over to Google. Totally different. Because Google is, well, Google. Oscars, 5 million people yesterday. And, of course, Anthony Hopkins beat out Chadwick Boseman for Best Actor. Because of that, racism. I didn't even know Anthony Hopkins had a movie out. I had zero idea he had a movie out. That's what the movies are right now. No idea. Then you've got a lot of the other stuff that goes on in the world here. A perfect example is like some of these movies I've never heard of. Like ever have heard of. I'm like, Mank I heard of kind of. Minari, yeah, but then there's other stuff and I'm just like, what is this? What Sounds of Metal? It's like, geez. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Okay. Man. Another Round wins Best International Film. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. It's just, it's like, it goes back to what I said earlier when it comes to something like the Oscars. Who are you making movies for? Right? Like, who are you making movies for when it comes to the way that studios are doing it now? Are you making movies for you and for the people that are, for all intents and purposes, critics? Or are you making movies for the people? The people that are like on, because you ever watch, like, all I always tell everybody is go look at Rotten Tomatoes. Critics give it, 0.25 or whatever. And then it's like 87% from people. And then the whole shot back is, well, people are stupid and they don't understand film. And you're like, ugh. So who are you making it for? I've often wondered that. Because I've got friends in the industry, and they'll tell me all the time, man. It's like, I just wish I worked on a movie I wanted to watch. And some of them are into artsy-fartsy movies. But some of it is just so over everybody's head that you sit back and you're like, if I've got to figure out exactly what it is that we're trying to do here in this film, and we're not trying to find the whodunit, then it just feels like it's lost. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
For the first time since the pandemic, U.S. economic confidence is up. It's positive, in the positive territory. So April last year, compared to February last year, confidence was through the roof. Was through the roof. Then it dropped tremendously. On the positive side, we were 40-plus points positive in February of last year. Minus 33% April 20th of last year. For the first time ever, since the pandemic started, we're up. Well, 2% essentially on the positive side. We were plus 2% in the latest survey. 28% describe the current economic conditions as either excellent or good, while 26% say they are poor. Last month, 23% said they were good or excellent. 31% say it was poor. We're moving in a better direction, and the outlook seems to be pretty darn good, at least right now. But there are also some issues to think about. And one of those things is us as consumers. We love our goods, right? Stock them deep and sell them cheap. We love that. We're about to get sticker shock on a lot of different things. And us as consumers like cheap. We do. We're not even looking for a bargain anymore. We just expect everything to be dirt cheap.
Thought you were spending more at the grocery store than ever before? Well, brace yourself. There are even more major price hikes on the horizon. Procter & Gamble announcing they are raising prices on a variety of goods, including senior, female, and baby care.
As the global economy is emerging from a year of recession and the pandemic really hitting every economy really hard, supply chains are coming back online, charging more.
Yeah, because they've been struggling. And the supply chains are now starting to ramp themselves up. We talked about it when it comes to perfect things like vehicles. Vehicles right now, it's never been a better time in the history of probably time to buy a vehicle. Except for the fact that you can't get any. Most places have very few or limited options when it comes to new stuff. And because of the supply chain being busted up and there's no microchips out there, guess what? There's no vehicles. Everything's kind of tied together. Well, as those things ramp up, what's going to happen? People are going to need to make up for lost time. You're going to expect, who's that going to be pushed onto? The consumer.
The Consumer Price Index, which measures how much consumers pay for everyday items, jumped 2.6% over last year. That's the biggest increase in 3 years. It's causing ripple effects in the grocery aisles, everything from Cheerios to peanut butter going up in costs. It's not just the price of materials increasing, but also truck driver shortages and issues with freight, like this container ship getting stuck in the Suez Canal.
Which is all of those things are having some sort of influence on the price. Getting from point A to point B, going to have what? Influence on the price. Not enough truck drivers. How about this? Gas prices gone up. That costs more money to ship. Who do you think is going to pay for those things? Consumers. They're not going to eat it themselves, the businesses. Partly because some of them are so far behind the eight ball, the fact that they lasted as long as they did, not just here, but globally, is amazing.
This 27 count of Pampers retails for around $9. A mid to high single percentage increase could see the cost go up by as much as 72 cents.
It's a chain reaction. Once they lift their prices, that pretty much gives everyone license to do the same thing.
So what can consumers do?
There are store brand goods that are often as good quality or better, and they're going to cost less. So don't go hoarding because you're concerned you're not going to be able to find a product.
Yeah, I think those things are gone. It's just stuff's going to be more expensive. And sometimes the store brand is fine, sometimes it's not. Let's be real. Sometimes, like they make them in the same place. You're like, okay. Sometimes they're like, it's just as good. And you're like, it's not just as good. But so much has changed in this pandemic, and the way that we shop is another one of them. How many of you guys, like me, I've used the app on numerous occasions. Why? Because I just want to go pick my groceries up. It's that simple. And it saves me money because I know when I go inside of a store, I'm going to spend way more than I need to. And this has also changed during the pandemic.
A transformation inside grocery stores, but the way people shop has also changed. A new report shows a complete overhaul of 100-year-old grocery shopping habits. When the coronavirus hit, almost overnight, millions of Americans signed up for online grocery delivery. Self-serve bars like the salad bars and hot bars will probably never come back. Pre-packaging will be the way to go, and many customers won't come back into the stores at all.
Which is weird. But it's the same thing. Everything has changed for a lot of people. And some of this stuff was going to happen. All the pandemic did was speed it up. The working from home thing. Depending on which survey or poll you look at, the majority of people that have been working home for the last 15 months, 13 months, depending on, when your office shut it down, the majority of them want to continue either working at home or some sort of hybrid model. And right now, because when you look at jobs and you look at the availability, and there's plenty of jobs out there, people have the opportunity to do that. And if you're looking for better employees, you're going to give them the opportunity. Our building here, the engineers next door they have part of the upstairs and next door to us, they're back in. They work from the house 1 or 2 days a week. I've talked to a couple of them. But our business, our salespeople, we're looking to downsize our building and the space that we have, not just here, but through the stations across the network. And it's pretty simple. We don't need it. They can come in 1 or 2 days a week if they need to. Outside of that, the space itself is not necessary. And I totally get that. So it's not just shopping and all that stuff. A ton of stuff has changed. I mean, and it is, why would you want to? If you had the chance. Now, for some people, work is a respite, right? It's out of the chaos. It's out of the house. I see a couple of the guys that come in here every single day and a couple of the ladies who just getting away from their home, whether their husband's driving them crazy or the kids are driving them crazy, their wives are driving, whatever it is, I get it. Totally get it. But they're not here all day. They just need 3 or 4 hours. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that in the future, especially when you're trying to get great employees. And as far as shopping and stuff, I think all of that stuff, that's the path we were on. And I think it's just been sped up because of the pandemic. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. So Curt Schilling, former major leaguer, who of course pisses everybody off because he's just Curt Schilling and says things that, people get mad at him for. I'm a free speech advocate. I think everybody should be allowed to make up their own minds in certain things. We don't do that. We need, apparently big tech needs to monitor, everybody's thoughts and make sure that everybody's fine. But he's right about a few things, right? Just like everybody else is right about some stuff. He's been wrong about a few things, in my opinion. Hell of a pitcher. Not liked by a lot of people now because he's taken a conservative look into things. But when I watch him talk about what LeBron James put, and the fact that nothing from Twitter, nothing from some of the big tech, who could have just said, you know what, we're going to suspend your account like you would just about anybody else, including Curt Schilling, for things that you find to be offensive, but you kind of gave it a pass.
I don't use the term double standard anymore. There's two sets of rules. Somebody that sells kids sweatpants at Foot Locker for Kids will tell me as a professional baseball player just to shut up and play baseball. But when you're a liberal, you're allowed to comment on anything and everything. And apparently just being a liberal allows you to be an expert. And if you look at the last 2 or 3 years, some of the worst, stupidest, most ignorant takes on the planet have come from LeBron James' Twitter account.
Yeah. Even OJ said, all right, enough. Right? Like OJ. OJ came out and he was explaining about, knives and the whole 9 yards. Like, man, I could have cut everybody's head off in like 30 seconds. He didn't really say that, but he did tell him to shut up. And by the way, people have told him to shut up and just dribble the basketball. They have. But sports is losing out on a lot of things because people don't want to hear it. They don't want to feel like they're preached to. But there was a double standard. You put hashtag your next with a picture of a guy who shot a girl who, by the way, was going to stab another girl. And you shot and killed her. Why didn't you just shoot him in the leg? Because this is not the movies. This is real life. This isn't Doc Holliday, right? This isn't John Wesley Hardin. I'll just pick that. No, this was a situation where he reacted. And even people on the left have said, well, according to the training he's had, he didn't do anything wrong. But to hashtag your next with a sand hourglass, what else? Well, it could mean you're going to be arrested next. No, I'm sorry.
I ate, slept, and breathed baseball. I haven't watched an inning in the last year and a half, and no interest in watching it because now the Boston Red Sox have LeBron James as an owner, a part owner. And apparently, based on the left's rules, everything that you say or do represents the entire organization you work with and work for. So LeBron James is speaking for the Boston Red Sox, about the Boston Red Sox, and with the Boston Red Sox's consent and approval. This is a guy who, as he goes, so goes the NBA. No one's watching the NBA anymore for all the right reasons.
Ooh. I think there's something to that, right? I mean, if that's what we're going to do. I don't watch baseball because baseball, I don't watch it. I'll maybe watch the playoffs. I don't really watch much of basketball. Maybe watch a little bit of the playoffs. I haven't watched any hockey. I love hockey, but just, And to be honest with you, outside of golf, I didn't really even watch too much soccer. And soccer pissed everybody off last week when they tried to form the Super League in Europe, and that all went south. But it is, the Olympics right now are having issues because what? They're telling everybody we're not going to turn this into a protest. This should be a celebration of games and the stuff that now in particular we've overcome over the last year and a half, 2 years by the time this thing kicks off. They don't want an entire thing where everything is about protesting and now the athletes are angry about that. We remember, at the end of the day, still about entertainment, right? If you're not going to be entertaining, whether it's a movie or sports or whatever it is, if that isn't the first thing that you think about when it comes to the people that are paying money to work hard for them, to bust your butt, to give your all, to produce something great that's enjoyable to watch, they're going to go away and your platform will shrink. So will your paycheck. And so will your influence.
The most woke and publicly ignorant sport on the planet is just continuing to shoot itself in the foot.
How could they say that? See what happened last year with Daryl Morey in China. That's all I think you need to know. That's it. It's one thing if you say, hey, we don't want you saying stuff about China, but it was the way that it was handled and the way that you're telling a fellow American in America not to say stuff that may hurt the business and then telling people inside the arena, if you dare have some free speech about China, about Hong Kong and any of these things, that you could get in trouble. That, to me, shows you everything I need to know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, home title lock, here to protect your title. Title lock. What is a title? First of all, you got your title of your home, right? Your deed, there's your home. It's public record. Easy for cyber thieves and criminals to get a hold of it. Couple forged signatures, fake notary. They own your house. And more importantly, they own your future and your equity. By the time you realize that they've stolen your equity, it's 90 days, 120 days, and now you're on the back foot. You're hiring your lawyers. You're saying it's not yours. The people don't care. Money was taken out of that house, and you're in trouble. Home Title Lock will alert you to anything that takes place with your title immediately. That way you can get on it long before it starts and put an end to it. Try it today. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use code RADIO. Put in your address. See if you've been a victim. Get 30 days free protection. HomeTitleLock.com, code RADIO. HomeTitleLock.com, code RADIO. Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
Gardeners who love butterflies first have to put up with caterpillars, some of which eat our plants, others which carry venomous stingers on their bodies. In other words, says entomologist Molly Keck,
the immature form is harmful, whereas the adult form is beneficial.
Because they pollinate the plants they land on. Caterpillars to avoid touching are generally the ones that look furry, the ones that ironically seem the most touchable.
Don't touch. Get stung, get hurt. Don't touch. Some stuff out there, little things you wouldn't think. Kill you, make you sick. Just don't touch. Now you get the furry ones. Because when I was a kid, those, oh, look at those, are furry. Look at those little spikes, but they're so furry. They look furry. You look oh, no, don't touch. They got to deal with that. Producer Phil, will you remind everybody what nature may do to you?
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up. According to the Washington Post, citing the Jakarta Post, a woman in Indonesia was swallowed whole by a python as she checked on her cornfields last week. Probably, I'm going to go out on there and say it was probably a Burmese python, maybe a retic. I have a reticulated python, by the way. Too small to swallow me whole. Too small. 100 villagers from the Persaipan Lawela searched the area, and what did they find? A 23-foot-long snake with a very swollen belly. The villagers then killed the snake and cut it open, and Watiba was inside. Yeah. Inside. She lived on Muna Island off the coast of Sulawesi. She left her home Thursday night to go check on her cornfields. Reticulated pythons. Very common in that area. They thought it was just a boar because there had been boars everywhere in there. They were storing the cornfield. So she went out to make sure that that wasn't happening. And lo and behold, she didn't return. The next day, they found her footprints, a flashlight, slippers, machete. They searched, they found it, swollen belly, chop, there she was. Yeah. Nature will mess you up, whether it's a fuzzy caterpillar or a 23-foot-long reticulated python. Be careful when you go into nature, kids. That's all we ever ask. Because as you always know, by listening to the Chad Benson Show, nature will mess you up. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
President Biden, he's getting overwhelming support from Democrats. 90% say they approve of the job he's done so far, but only 13% of Republicans feel that way. From both parties, though, really, it's his handling of the pandemic that's getting high marks. 64% approve of how he's done on that. On the economy, though, a little more tepid, a key priority, of course, for this White House, just a little over half. 52% say they approve of his handling on that front.
Yeah. I always said I think he's doing a good job when it comes to the pandemic. But now will come the real tough thing. Because getting people the shots, making sure that runs smoothly. Okay. You've done that? Great. Now what? Because you have a group of people that aren't going to take the shots. And That is clear every time they do a poll.
A new ABC News Washington Post poll finds fewer than half of Americans see the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as safe, and barely more than 1 in 5 of those not yet vaccinated say they would be willing to take it. This comes after a halt to the distribution of the J&J vaccine to investigate a possible connection to blood clots. That halt was lifted over the weekend, and shots have resumed.
Shots have resumed. You still have 20+% of people that aren't going to be getting a shot. Some, okay, there's a small group called 3-4% for whatever reason. Allergies, maybe religious, they're not going to get that shot based on certain things. You get another anywhere between, probably, 17 and 15%. They're just not going to get it. Some are agnostic. Okay, vaccine agnostic. They know vaccines work. They're not sure about this one. They want to see more, may get it in the future. But a lot of people, based on political beliefs, are not going to get this. So what do we do from here? Because we cannot allow some people who don't want to get the shot for whatever reason. And I don't care if you get the shot or not. Let me tell you something. Right? You listen to my show. God bless you. I don't care if you get the shot or don't. It's your choice. Right? But what I don't want, and if I didn't, I'm getting my second dose today. For me, if I didn't get the shot, I wouldn't want people to live based on the fact that I didn't get a shot. I wouldn't want people to go, well, we're not going to open up stuff. We're not going to get back to these things that we were doing pre-pandemic because you didn't want to get a shot. I don't think we should be doing that. I think if you chose not to get one, you understand the risk. Inherently, there's risk in everything we do. So you've understood the risk, and because of that, you're willing to take that risk. And I think most people would be fine. And this is where, when I look at Biden and the powers that be, I'm curious as to how you're going to take this forward. I'm curious as to how are you going to move us forward in at least the rhetoric, which the states listen to. Not all of them do, as we saw with Trump, and same thing with Biden. But how do you do that in a way where you're going to say, hey, we're going to get back to doing what we're doing, and the people and the powers that be, you guys are free to allow them, if you will. I know that sounds weird to say, but to not feel like, because so many businesses, even though they're open and they're like, okay, yeah, we can have, people are still wearing masks everywhere, and people are still, allow that to happen and just allow people to be people and make their own decisions because they understand exactly what's going on. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think what they're going to do is they're going to ride this thing for as long as possible because that's what politics is all about. Then you've got the State of the Union. What's he going to talk about there? So immigration, done well. So far, it gets about an A in the way that we've combated this thing. The economy, it's a push. It's going to take a bit. We've got some haves and some have-nots are there. That has been this way from the entire time this thing has gone on. So this is going to take a bit to see what happens. But now you've got the opportunity to do what you would like to do. You got police reforms. You got guns. You've got infrastructure. You got a lot of things out there facing you. How do you sell that to the American people?
President Biden preparing to address a joint session of Congress where he'll lay out the promises for his next 100 days in office and beyond. His big push now, that massive $2 trillion infrastructure plan. The president says it will create millions of jobs. It's a plan the majority of Americans support. But as the nation deals with a surge of mass shootings, advocates are pressing the White House to do more to curb gun violence. The administration calling on Congress to step up on gun reform and police reform. Lawmakers hopeful for a bipartisan compromise there.
Speaking of guns, Supreme Court agreed to hear a major Second Amendment dispute that could settle whether the Constitution protects a right to carry guns in public. So you've got Biden, who is feeling all kinds of pressure to do something with guns. Activists want to limit availability of high-powered weapons over mass shootings. And I go back to we look at a mass shooting and we think this is 24/7. And then, Chad, there's been X amount of mass shootings. But you go and look at the numbers over the last several years, last couple decades plus, the numbers across the board of crime have been coming down. Now, as we've decided that crime's not important, especially in certain cities, to just let people do what they do, a lot of the stuff that you see happening happens with handguns. But we're not talking about those. We're talking about the big scary gun, and I understand that. Now is the chance for the Supreme Court to have a hearing. And it's going to be very interesting. Right now, it's 6-3. Majority of Republican appointees. We know how they feel. They could expand the reach of the Second Amendment. We don't know what they're going to do. But you knew eventually things like this were going to happen. Whether it was choice or Second Amendment, free speech at some point in time, these things were going to happen. And one of the things we had talked about for a very, very long time when it came to the former president, Trump, is what he did, and in particular what Mitch McConnell has done as far as transforming the court is huge. So if you're somebody who supports the Second Amendment, like me, I think we know where this is going to go. And don't be surprised if one or two Democrats end up over there. We think that every single case is decided 5-4, but a lot of times it's a landslide. So we'll see how this plays itself out. So in the mounting face of pressure when it comes to that and everything else, now the Supreme Court's going to deal with something. And we'll see what that looks like. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. We're getting back out there. We're doing things, but we're going to have all of these masks. What are we going to do with these masks?
They're the one item we now know helps stop the spread of COVID-19, face masks. Over the past year, they've become an important part of living safely in the middle of a pandemic. Around the world, 129 billion are used every single month, and 3 million are thrown out every single minute. Most are made of layers of plastic microfibers. It's creating a new kind of plastic pollution, contaminating waterways and hurting wildlife.
Yeah. Uh-oh. So now this is bad? Well, we got to make biodegradable ones. But what if they don't work as well? Oh, no. It's the chaos.
It's not just about the fact that masks are not biodegradable or recyclable. It's about the fact that they are a hazard for our wildlife. Not just because they can eat the mask, but also because animals get entangled in the strap.
Algara and her team found a mask twisted around a puffer fish. Birds are getting caught up in them, and marine life are eating them.
We can't do anything right. We can't do it. Where's that 8-year-old about the straws? Shouldn't he fix this? Maybe that's the new thing. I'm not going to wear a mask because it's not good for the environment. Oh, Chad. I know, right? Like that's there's your go-to now. I can't wear a mask. It's not good for the environment. Yeah, but some people may get sick. Stay in your house? Is that the best way?
The idea is to dispose of your mask properly, put it in the bin, but also remember to cut or rip off the straps. That will be saving so many lives.
So many rules. I think I have several cloth masks. But yeah, I could see it. I mean, I'm sitting here, right? So I look out. I can see. I've got a great view of the entire parking lot. And every once in a while, at least once or twice a day, I'll see a mask come floating by. It's what it is. It's going to be that way for the foreseeable future. And how many of you have masks all over your car? They're in your glove compartment, right? Like there's some over, like if you've got a drink, holder next to your door, you got one there, probably one under the seat. Where do you think those things are going to go? And we don't think to cut them like we used to with we used to get a 6-pack of soda or beer and then have those plastic things. No, we don't think to do that. Biodegradable. If you could do biodegradable, though. But what if they're not good? What if they don't help you? What if they're just annoying, but they look fine? The confusion, people. The confusion. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. You can check us out across all of the interweb. We're everywhere. The good and bad things are found. Like, websites, craziness on Twitter, Instagram. I don't do Pinterest, Facebook. And, of course, grab the podcast as well. Masterclass, you say? Yes, masterclass. Did some masterclass this weekend. I'm watching a lot, as much as I can get. And I'm really, some of the stuff you start getting into, and you're like, I wouldn't even think that I would think about doing any of these things. Does this interest me? But it's the people and the way they sell it. So, Judy Blume, Judd Apatow, Malcolm Gladwell, who I've been just watching over and over again, is amazing. Samuel Jackson, Helen Mirren, you name it, they've got him. Mark Jacobs, right? Ron Howard. I love, he talks about the return on investment in listening. And it's really, really interesting. So what you do is you join Masterclass. It's an annual pass, like 41 cents a day. And through that, you can learn all the techniques of the masters, the people that do it. From acting to sports and everything in between. And they teach you. They teach you. They're the ones because they are the masters of what they do. About 20 lessons per class. Each lesson is about 10 minutes. It's downloadable material and workbooks and recipes. If you want to cook, there's plenty of that. It's awesome. It truly is. Join now. Save an extra 15%. Masterclass.com/Benson. Again, 41 cents a day is all it costs to learn from the best in the world at what they do. Masterclass.com/Benson. Masterclass.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid? What? Are you kidding me? Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
When Nomadland won Best Picture, star Frances McDormand had a response that caused some confusion.
We give this one to our wolf.
But backstage after the show, director Chloe Zhao explained.
The howling is for our production sound mixer, Wolf, who you saw in the In Memorial. We unfortunately lost him recently.
Michael Wolf Snyder died by suicide at the age of 35 and had worked with Zhao on her other projects.
Yeah, Oscars yesterday. Kind of, it's the diehards watched it. The ratings were awful, and it was just one of those things where people had it's like with sports, right? It's not just entertainment, sports. Even, people are looking for different things. They want to be entertained. They don't want to be reminded. They don't want to be preached to. They want to have a respite from their day-to-day. And when it gets to the point where whether it's woke or people that feel like they're just continually evoking emotions where you're like, I just wanted to laugh. I just wanted to watch an action. People are kind of over it. And these movies, very little box office, probably wouldn't have done a lot. Nomadland, about a 60-something who lost everything during the Great Recession, I think in 2008, and travels around in an RV, barely getting by, living on the fringes of society. Doesn't sound like Minari. It's a movie about a Korean family that wants to live the American dream, which is fantastic, but it's a very slow movie. My buddy gets them all because he's an Oscar voter. He's like, some of the stuff is just, I'm like, who greenlights this stuff? But it's not for the majority of people. It's for a certain group of people, in particular critics. And then the surprise last night was Anthony Hopkins. Beat Chadwick Boseman, and everybody, of course, is screaming racist. I didn't even know Anthony Hopkins had a movie out, but he did. Chadwick Boseman, who passed away from cancer last year. A lot of people thought he was a shoo-in.
Anthony Hopkins, the father. Almost no one expected Anthony Hopkins to win Best Actor at the Oscars Sunday night. The category ended the show, likely on the thought that Chadwick Boseman would win posthumously, and it would be an emotional moment. Instead, Hopkins won and wasn't even there.
Good morning.
But Monday morning on Instagram, he checked in from his home in Wales, saying he didn't expect to win.
And I want to pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman, who's taken from us far too early.
At 83, Hopkins is now the oldest acting winner in Oscars history.
I really did not expect this.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did, because nobody even knew you were up for anything. I didn't know he was in a movie. Chad, how could you not know? Because was it Silence of the Lambs 8? Is that what it was? The Father. What is that? What is that about? Right? All Bimbo ever wanted was to be a father to his children, a husband, and his wife. But Providence had a different plan. Nah. Pass. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The great state of California, the state that gave us celebrity political candidates like Ronald Reagan, Clint Eastwood, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Reality star Caitlyn Jenner just announced her plans to run for governor. So is she in any way qualified for this job? I mean, she has a very spotty voting record from what I could tell. Sonny, he's got this guy, Brad Pascal, running his campaign. What do you think about that? That's who's running his campaign, or her campaign, rather.
You said her, him, her. What? How dare you do that? Get over it. Even Caitlyn Jenner said there are bigger things to worry about than pronouns. Oh, my God, somebody's handling something not insane. What? That can't be. But Joy Behar just, I don't even know what you call that. Like, because when you call somebody, so if you were to say Bruce, right? I'm just using an example, so freak out. So you're dead naming them. You're dead naming them. It's a dead naming. But he just said, I just other sect, Joy Behar. She just said him. Just get over it. Wasn't trying to be rude, right? I don't think there's any of that. What did Clint Eastwood? I mean, I know he's spoken about politics. But he was not really a politician per se. She threw that in there, like he's a politician. He's not. Just has his views.
So first of all, let me apologize for my pronoun mix-up. I think I just didn't get enough sleep last night. I had no intention of mixing them up, and I tried to correct it immediately, but whatever, it just came out. So I'm sorry if anybody was upset by that.
Nobody's upset by it. There are some people are, but you know what? They were upset by stuff long before that. That's the stuff that's insane. Don't bring it up. Don't address it. You didn't do it on purpose. Don't make up excuses. I'm sorry, I didn't sleep well outside. I'm really tired. She was another sex for 60 plus years. Somebody was super famous. She is now Caitlyn and no longer that other one. We're going to get over it. That's the stuff that's insane. I got to apologize for something that I didn't mean to do, but everybody's going to say that I meant to do it or that somehow, and because of that, and then I apologize. And you're just like, oh, my God, just get over it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. So imagine this, if you will. You're a criminal, but you didn't even know about it. That's right. You've got a felony warrant, and you had no idea. And we hear it all the time, right? We watch those live PD. I had no idea. I had no idea. This lady, Karen McBride, really found out. She had no idea that she had a felony warrant because it's been there for 21 years. And when you hear why, I think it's understandable.
The first thing she told me was felony embezzlement. So I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
It was a moment of disbelief for Karen McBride as she was talking to the Cleveland County District Attorney's Office, where she learned she was a wanted felon for never returning Sabrina, the Teenage Witch on VHS 21 years ago, a movie she says she never even rented.
I had lived with a young man. This was over 20 years ago. He had 2 daughters, and I'm thinking he went and got it and didn't take it back.
Yeah. Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. So, not guns, not failure to appear over some sort of drug situation, not domestic violence or any of those things. None of those things. Karen was wanted for Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And not just wanted, embezzlement.
I have never watched that show in my entire life. Just not my cup of tea.
Online documents show McBride was charged with embezzlement in March of 2000, but never knew about the charges until recently when trying to change her name on her license after getting married.
And they told me that I had issue in Oklahoma. Meanwhile, I'm a wanted felon for a VHS tape.
Crimes every single day. Embezzlement over this. Now, the question is, could she still be in trouble?
Documents show the movie was rented at Movie Place in Norman, Oklahoma. We've since learned that business closed in 2008, even though there's technically no victim now in the case. Because charges were filed and a warrant was issued against McBride, Cleveland County could still prosecute the case.
I didn't try to deceive anyone over Samantha Teenage Witch. I swear.
Yeah. And it's funny because when you look at this thing, it's not like it was Sabrina the Teenage Witch and it came with its own little amazing like cover with the sticker. No, it was handwritten Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Handwritten. Has this affected her life in ways she may not have known? That is a possibility.
McBride says over the last 20 years, she's been let go from several jobs without giving a reason why, and says now it all makes sense.
This is wise because when they ran my criminal background check, all they're seeing is those 2 words, felony embezzlement.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's, maybe you're not a great employee. I don't know. But the ridiculousness of this. Embezzlement? Like, who would you, like, I don't even know what to say at that point. That's the insanity of how many laws we have in this country. That's the craziness of how overdone we are when it comes to laws. We are overbaked and then some. And it's not stopping, kids. It's not stopping. In fact, we're at the point where we've got so many laws that sometimes we even need fake people to pretend to be police officers to write fake tickets. Case in point.
2 Hialeah police officers were arrested for allegedly writing fake traffic tickets. Victims received multiple traffic citations without ever knowing they had committed one.
I'd be confused and I'd want to question it.
One victim officially received 18 citations. The following day, he received an additional 6. The victim claimed he never received a physical citation and started to receive mail about legal representation for court.
Yeah. Couple cops. Hialeah, in Hawaii. Just like, hey, we'll just randomly just start picking cars. We'll just start sending them tickets. You're like, are you kidding me? No, that's what they're doing. Just sending stuff out. What do you do, man? Just sending stuff out. Just we got it. It's a race to see how many tickets we get. Who knows? See if they'll even send any money in, because you never know. You never know. People will just like, I didn't know I did this. Okay, maybe this is a new thing.
Police found 8 other people with similar stories. A longtime Hialeah resident tells me in Spanish, if I received all those tickets I was not responsible for, I would not be able to pay for them. State attorney released a statement saying, quote, honesty and integrity must always be central values of every effective police agency. When police officers create false traffic tickets, as we are alleging happened here, they damage the reputation of their own department.
You think? It was bad enough we've got the battle of police and the public right now and what's going on. That's bad enough. But to think they're writing fake tickets. There's enough. If we just talked about a woman who has a felony warrant for embezzlement for Sabrina the Teenage Witch from 1990. She had no idea. There's enough that you can get people on regularly. You shouldn't have to fake it.
Armando Perez served 5 years with the Hialeah Police Department, and Ernesto Arias Martinez was a member for 3 years and a half. And these 2 officers will be terminated immediately.
Bye-bye. So stupid. Things like that, I always wondered, like, what's going through your mind? Like, honestly, what is going through your mind at that time that you think we should do this? Like, this is a good idea. Like, this idea gets no better than this. Like, solid idea. We're sending this out. Nobody will know. Nobody's going to question it. None of that stuff's going to happen. They're just going to take it and just do what they want, what we want them to do, which is send money in or whatever. And then they're probably going to come out and say, well, they're trying to force us to write as many tickets as possible, so that's what we're trying to do. And then people are going to go, ah. But I often wonder, like, what goes through people's minds in situations where you think that's a good idea. And a lot of times you'll see that with people who send a tweet or with somebody who goes somewhere and then for whatever reasons decides to do something so stupid and asinine, thinking, well, everybody's going to know, like, I'm different, so it's just a joke. And you think to yourself, no. And this is another one. It's like, what makes something go through somebody's mind where, like, they thought this is a great idea, that we're going to write tickets to 10 different people and bunches of them, and nobody would ever know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. My Pillow's got my slippers. Wear them indoors, wear them outdoors, wear them all day. 40% off right now. Highest quality and comfort. Took a couple of years to develop. Durable, absolutely. Beautiful. They got the suede, faux fur linings, and an indoor-outdoor sole, which is awesome. Moccasin and slip-on style, and you get a 6-day money-back guarantee. So there's 3 different tiers that come with the My Slipper. The first tier, patented fill. Awesome, right? So the My Pillow patented fill. Comfort memory foam is the second, and the third, patented impact gel made 100% from U.S. soybeans. Incredible. Try them. You're going to love them. Like I say, 6-day money-back guarantee, 40% off. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Save big on all of the stuff. Deep discounts everywhere. When you check out MyPillow, make sure you use that promo code Benson to save big, or call 800-983-4975. 800-983-4975. Use the promo code Benson to save big, including 40% off the new My Slippers. Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man! Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
You think I own this business? You think I own IKEA? I'm a part-time employee. You think you hate this place more than me? I work here. Every time I come here, my order gets messed up. Then stop coming. Make my day. Every time you come here, your order's messed up. Sounds like you're making the mistake. Look inward. I'd like to speak to your manager. I'd like to speak to your mother. Tell her she should be embarrassed. She raised someone to act like a baby in public. You want to speak to the manager, please? The manager doesn't know what's going on. Haven't you ever worked anywhere before?
This is an IKEA employee who's not happy about complaints from customers, throwing it out there. It's true. It's like, haven't you ever worked anywhere? What's the manager going to do? A lot of times, the manager can't do anything. You know that. I know that. There's some managers who can do some stuff, but you get it. They're authorized. Okay, I give somebody this. Just what do I have to give you to go away and stop bothering my people? It's like, that's it.
I know that's not right. I used to work here. Well, things change. Sorry they didn't run it by you first. You used to work here. Well, I used to be happy. Then you walked in.
He's not done.
Can you just check in the back? Can you just accept we don't have it? The back ain't some magical place. What do you think is back there? Santa's workshop? The only thing back there is a clipboard with our schedules and some brownies Darcy brought in.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. So true. They've got the little electronic thing, right? Tells you if something's in the back or not. Can you call another store? Can you do that? So true. Magically in the back? Magically? I love this. Guy's like spot on.
This is cheaper at other stores. Then shop there. Why are you here? Do you need directions? I'll get you some. I'll call you an Uber. Cheaper at other stores. I don't set the prices. I'm a seasonal employee.
I love it. He's so spot on. Then shop other places. That is so. I can get this somewhere else cheaper. Then do it. Do it. You know, all the time. I'm going to go listen to somebody else. Okay. What do you want me to say? Don't? Oh, please. Oh, please. Please don't. Sorry. I mean, I don't know what, welcome to the world we live in. It's like everybody is. This is the one thing about the internet. It's allowed us all to be critics of everything all the time. Like every second we have a chance, we can go somewhere and complain about something. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Even if it's warranted. And that's because we've given people the opportunity who are miserable to share their misery. Like over the last month, I don't do as much as I used to, right? I mean, we handle a lot of what goes on Facebook, but it's kind of like Ghost. Put it and go. Because I just, everything is negative. Everything is negative. There's somebody, like, are there this many negative people in the world? Apparently there is. Apparently that's all that's out there. I blame Yelp. You came along and allowed people just to be awful about restaurants and everything else. And everybody's like, let's just take it up a notch. We'll see what we can do from here. And away we went. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. J&J back out there. People can go get it. People are asking questions. Why are people not getting the second dose of other things like Moderna and Pfizer? My second dose of Moderna is today.
You only get full immunity 14 days after your second dose. So it's very important that people do get their second dose.
Yeah. Now, J&J is like, what, 77% effective? Like with Moderna, you get about 80% after your first dose. A little bit higher, I think, with Pfizer at the end. They're both in about 90-some%, depending on, who you're talking to. There you go. But J&J is convenient. That's why. That's the whole thought process. We live in a day and age where convenience is of utmost importance to all of us. So we do things that are convenient. And that's the thing reason I said Johnson & Johnson was going to be the game changer. Because of convenience. I only have to go here once. It can be stored anywhere. So I could show up and just be wandering through a store. And I could go, do you have any vaccines? Or they'll say, hey, we've got vaccines available. And you think, okay, I'll take it now. What? That's why J&J was always going to be that. Where the other ones, a little different. Got to go to a place. Got to make an appointment. It's got to be twice. Probably not going to be convenient for you. We live in a world of convenience. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Solid Fun Monday. As always, we'll do it again tomorrow. You guys have an amazing rest of your day. First day of the week. It's down. 20% already gone. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.